So the NHL salary cap was just set at $81.5 million. The cap floor is set at $60.2 million. So this is about a $2 million increase of the cap from last season. However, it's about $1.5 million less than what Gary Bettman guesstimated, or however you'd like to phrase that, back in December, because he said it was going to be $83 million. So this is going to make some problems, obviously, for some teams. But the great news is that there's going to be lots of trades. There's going to be a lot of excitement happening in the next little week, 2 weeks, summer, really, with teams trying to get to the cap floor, bodies moving around. Let's first talk about the teams that actually have to get to the cap floor. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of them, starting with the Colorado Avalanche, who have just over $14 million away from the cap floor. Remember, they have to sign Rantanen, so that will probably be fixed soon. Ottawa Senators are just under $12 million away from the cap floor. Eugene Melnyk, you're going to have to spend the money, bro. No matter what. The Columbus Blue Jackets are just under $9 million away from the cap floor. The New Jersey Devils are just a little under $5 million away from the cap floors, even after adding Subban. I keep on saying Subban. They've got to do another signing or two. I'm sure they'll be fine. The Winnipeg Jets, surprisingly, are just over $2.5 million away from the cap floor, but that'll disappear very fast with the players they have to sign, Laine, Ehlers, etc. Or is it Kyle Connor? I mix up Ehlers and Kyle Connor sometimes. The Philadelphia Flyers are just under $100,000 in cap space. And really, the Carolina Hurricanes weren't at the cap floor until they traded with the Leafs for Patrick Marleau and his cap hit. So they're actually above the cap floor now, barely by like $200,000. But I believe they still have to sign Sebastian Aho, who is a RFA, amongst others. Now, getting back to teams who are pretty near the cap, right at this moment, there's Vegas, who's over it by over $1.5 million. There's Pittsburgh, who's close to it at just under 5. Arizona Coyotes, surprisingly enough, just over 6. Edmonton Oilers, just over 8. Now, Tampa Bay Lightning's still has a problem, even though they traded away JT Miller and freed up $5.5 million cap space. They only have just over $10.5 million to sign Braden Point and a handful of other RFAs and possible UFAs that they might want to sign. So they're going to be making some moves for sure, as well Vegas will. And of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They after getting rid of I almost said Captain Marleau, Patrick Marleau's $6.5 million to the Carolina Hurricanes. They now have just over $13.5 million. But here's the thing with that: there was rumors today that they were close to signing Kapanen and Johnson, each to a 3 to 4 year deal worth around between I want to say $3.1 and $3.6 million each. So AAV. And if that was true, let's say that ends up being $6.5 million for those two players, which is a great deal for two 20-goal scorers. That leaves them just just over $6.5-ish million to spend on Marner. So they've got to be making some trades for sure. Zaitsev is obviously on the block. He has a $4.5 million hit, and there's others that could be moving on out of there as well. Connor Brown looks like his $2.1 million will be traded soon. Still, they've got a bunch of holes on their defense. I don't want to dive too much into it, but Jake Gardner is a UFA, Ron Hainsey is a UFA, etc., etc., and they're still looking for D. So a lot of GMs are going to be turning into magicians in the next month or so, probably especially in the next week and a half. I would think we're going to see a lot of action, a lot of signings, a lot of trades. Let me know what you think about this news down in the box below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget that hit that like and subscribe button. And yeah, I'll be seeing you soon.